Spring is in the air and the waterfalls are flowing again. It's a great time of year to go out and shoot waterfalls, so I figured that this week I would show you guys exactly how I go about editing waterfall images in Lightroom. There's a few things that are particular to waterfall images that I really like to do. We're going to be talking about them in this video, as well as just a basic overview of how I'm editing in Lightroom, especially for waterfall images. So we're going to jump right into Lightroom and go ahead and get started. Here we go, guys. Get ready. So the first thing that you want to do, just like any other image, is open in the Develop tab here into Lightroom. And so you can see I've got that going on here. And the first thing that I always like to do to my images is to scroll down and to enable the profile corrections and remove the chromatic aberration. These are two things that I'm doing to pretty much every image, and it just corrects any lens distortions or anything like that that needs to be fixed in the image right off the bat. So you can see that it's selected the lens that I used was the Zeiss Batis 2.8 18mm. It will hopefully select the lens that you used as well. If not, you may have to go in and find it here in the make and model. But that looks good for me, so I'm going to go ahead and go back to the top. And now the first thing that I like to do after that is that I like to balance the temperature of my image. So looking at the white balance of this image, it looks pretty good, but I do just want to drag this around and just test it out. Now, whatever the camera shoots in the field is usually going to be slightly off. No matter how good your camera is, it's always going to be a few points off here or there. So my trick to adjust the white balance is to grab this slider, go back and forth while I'm watching the image, and then start to slow down and balance it right where it feels right. Right about 57.09 there feels good to me. So not much difference from before. And then I like to do the same thing with the tint. And I just want to look for a neutral color here. I don't want the water to be toned green. I don't want it to be toned pink. I want it to be right in the middle. Right about there feels right to me. So you can see I haven't changed it much from the raw image. Your photo may need more tuning than this, so I just want to warn you about that. But in my photo, this is looking good right about there. Now, you can't just copy these numbers onto your photo because every scene requires a different white balance, depending on the kind of light you're getting, depending on the temperature of the things around you. There's a variety of factors that are going to affect what your temperature and your tint needs to be, so dial this in for your own image. Like I said, grab each slider, slide back and forth while you're watching the image, and then slowly dial it in exactly where it feels the most neutral to you. So next thing is I like to go down into the basic tab here and adjust some of these basic sliders here. So a lot of times I'll add a touch of contrast. On a waterfall image, I'm usually going to lower the highlights just a little bit. I'm going to bring up the shadows because usually I'm in the forest, so it might be a little darker. On this one, I actually might bring up the exposure a little bit and then bring the highlights down even further. You bring the shadows back down. You can bring the whites up. The whites will pop the waterfall, but I want to be careful not to blow out the water. So I'm specifically looking at this spot right in here. You can see that when I adjust the whites here, that it can get a little blown out. So I wouldn't want to go any further than probably right here at about 30 points. And one way that you can test if you're blowing out any whites or not is to hold the Alt Option key as you drag this whites slider. Now, anything that is appearing white or blue is being blown out. So I want to make sure none of that is in my image. So I'm going to slide a little bit less than that. Usually I'll slide to the point where I'm starting to get those blown out colors, and then I will drop it back down about 10 points, and that feels about right. Now you can do the same thing with the black slider, but for anything that's dark in the image, usually I like to bring the black slider up, but a lot of photographers will actually bring it down. So you can see now as I bring this down, anything that's in black or in a color is starting to lose all detail because it's totally black. So I don't want to do that. A lot of times with the black slider though, I will just look at it and judge just by my eye of how much I want to bring it up or down. Then you can go back in and add a little bit more contrast at the end. So that is looking pretty good to me. We can adjust the texture, clarity, and the dehaze here if we want. So each of these can come in handy. I don't use them a whole lot in waterfall images, but we're going to see what they do. So you can see that the texture kind of makes the image textured, just as you would expect. When I'm applying this, I like to zoom in and slide this back and forth. And you can see as it slowly loads, it's really kind of adding a lot of micro contrast to my scene, similar to clarity, but slightly different. I don't want to add too much texture. I probably want between 10 and 20 points is usually what I like to do. And I want to increase the clarity just a little bit. Usually 10 points or less feels good for the clarity. And then the dehaze is a tool that you can use as well. So if you slide it to the right to add dehaze, it's going to essentially dehaze your image. So it's going to remove haze. In waterfall images, though, a lot of times, I actually like to slide it back, which actually creates a little bit of kind of mist or glow in the air when you do that. You can see too much and it just looks terrible. But if you add just a few points, or I guess subtract just a few points, it will help you to add a little bit of kind of glow or ambiance in your scene. So that's looking pretty good to me. The next thing that we're going to adjust is the vibrance and the saturation. We can add about 5 to 10 points of vibrance, 5 to 10 points of saturation. Now this is going to change depending on your camera, because different cameras with different sensors affect images differently. So don't feel like you have to do this much. Don't feel like you can't do more. It just all depends when you look at your image as to what you like. And so this is starting to look good to me. I'm going to scroll down. We're going to come back to the tone curve actually. The next thing I want to show you is this HSL or color tab. This is going to be your go-to spot for adjusting colors in Lightroom, and it's really nice on waterfall images. The first thing usually that I like to do is bring down the saturation of the blues. You can see here, this part of the waterfall is really blue, and I don't really need it to be so blue. I want it to be a little bit whiter so it's not as distracting. That's looking pretty good. Now we can go in and adjust some of these greens and yellows. So I could bring up the saturation of the yellows. I could bring up saturation of the greens. There's really a lot of different things that I can do here, or I can use this tool right here, which allows me to drag on the photo to adjust the saturation. So I'm going to click that. And let's say that I wanted to increase the saturation of these colors up here. I would just click there, and then I would drag up. And now you can see on the right side of the screen there that as I drag up and down with my mouse, I'm affecting the saturation of these colors. So it's nice to be able to do that because you can select a particular color in your image rather than just trying to find it over here in the sliders. And one thing that I really like to do to a lot of waterfall images is go into the hue. And one thing that you'll notice about this scene is that there's a lot of greenish yellows and yellowish greens. So I can make those colors a little bit closer to each other in order to make the image a little bit less distracting and to make it a little bit more flush with the color of all of the moss in the image. So to do that, I'm going to go into hue. I'm going to bring the yellows towards green. And I don't want to do it too much. Obviously, you can see this far. It looks like maybe I shot this in the Amazon rainforest, which we definitely don't want. I want it to have a Pacific Northwest vibe. So a little bit of a yellowish color is still okay with me. Then I'm actually going to grab the greens and drag the greens a little bit towards yellow. And I'm just going to play with these until I feel that our image is a little bit more balanced. And then I'm going to bring up the saturation again of the yellows, and I'm going to bring up the saturation of the greens. I'm going to toggle this, and you can see the changes that we've made to the image. So this was the before we started adjusting the colors, and this is after. And before, and after. So you can see that we've made some pretty basic changes, but it is helping our image look a little more uniform and a little less distracting with so many different colors. Now this waterfall isn't as blue anymore, which is good because I don't want this part to be super blue, but this part to be white. So I'm liking where this is going. So I generally don't play too much with the color grading, but sometimes I will find that adding a little bit of blue to the highlights will really help that water kind of appear more water-like. And I know we reduced the saturation of the blues above, but this can kind of add it back in a way that adds it equally to all the water in the scene. So if you wanted to try doing that, come down here to the color grading, drag this little circle here all the way around to the blues here. And then you're going to pull from the middle here. Now, if you hold shift, you can see it draws a straight line. So I can just drag this straight out to this line. If you're not holding shift, you have to kind of freehand it, and it is a little bit more difficult. So for that reason, I'm going to hold shift. And you can see now that when I add 100% saturation here all the way out, it's definitely too much. But I can actually scale it back to probably about 20 or so. Let's toggle that. You can see that the changes are very, very subtle, but I do like what it's doing to the image. It's adding just a touch of blue right back in there. Like I said, you may think this is a little redundant because we just got rid of the blues, but this is adding them back in a more equal way, and it's in a way that's more targeted, which is what I like about it. So I'm going to leave that as is. I'm going to drop down here and I'm going to do just a little bit of sharpening. This is something that you can do really at any point in your image here while you're editing it in Lightroom. And so when I'm sharpening, what I want to do is to zoom in to somewhere in here like the rocks where I want it to be sharpened. And I'm going to increase the detail all the way to 100. I'm going to drop the radius to 0.5. And then I'm going to use this masking slider. So if I hold Alt Option and drag masking, you can see that anything that's white is going to be sharpened. Anything that's black is not going to be sharpened. So this is looking good because you can see here we're sharpening the edges of the rocks, which is really all that we want to sharpen. So I'm going to leave that right about there. You can also zoom all the way out and look at the mask here as I hold Alt and Option. And you can see that's doing a pretty good job, I think, of sharpening what I want to sharpen. Now that that is done, we can actually go in and apply the sharpening. So we've just created a mask for the sharpening. Now we have to actually do the sharpening itself. Now this is looking pretty good to me. I'm going to toggle this just to see the before and after. So that is before and that is after. So I really like what it's done to this rock. These are all really minor changes here. They're not something that you'd be able to see when I'm zoomed out this far. So you do have to zoom in and look at that. But this is something that I'm doing more for the purpose of maybe later down the road, I want to print this image or I'm going to be looking at it closer or larger. So I just always want to apply the sharpening. If necessary, you can apply some noise reduction here. For my photo, I don't think it is necessary because I shot this at ISO 100 and there's not very much noise. So we can now close this detail tab. We can close the lens corrections. We're not going to do any transforming. We're going to come back to do the effects in a second here. And I'm going to come down here. We're not going to do anything in the calibration, so I am going to close that off. I'll come back up here. I'm going to close color grading. And now we're back to the top. I want to show you guys how I'd use the tone curve on a waterfall image here. So what I would normally do is increase the lights to kind of pop the water a little bit. You can see now that we've popped it just a little bit, but I don't want to blow this out here. So I actually might bring down the highlights and then I'll bring up the lights from there. And I might adjust this so that the lights are affecting more of the waterfall by sliding this over here. And that will allow us to pull up a little bit more. So this is just adding a little bit of fine-tuned contrast. And I'm really liking what this is doing to my image. It's really subtle, as you can see, but I do like what it's done to the image. So the tone curve is always something that you can play with. Another thing that I oftentimes will do is to bring down the shadows and bring up the darks. And this kind of just adds a little bit more contrast in the really dark areas of my photo. So there's a million different ways that you can use this tone curve, but that is just what I would recommend doing. And now the last thing that I want to do on this image is maybe go in and bring this exposure back down slightly. And I want to create a vignette. So I'm going to scroll all the way down to effects and I'm going to create a vignette here. So in landscape photography, you pretty much always want to create a vignette that darkens. So you want to drag this slider to the left. And you can see that this puts a vignette on my image. So there's a few options that you can adjust here. The first thing that I want to do is slide this highlights all the way up. And this makes it so that I'm protecting the highlights. So if I am darkening any of the highlight parts of the image, it will not affect it. So for example, like right up here, over here, up in here, it will not affect those highlight spots on the image. You can also adjust the feather and the roundness, as well as the midpoint. So I generally don't adjust any of those on my image, but it is options if you felt like you wanted it to be more or less feathered. And now I'm just going to apply this on where I feel that it works best. And I want to apply this vignette because it helps me bring my viewer's eye into the center. You can see that we've kind of darkened the right side, we've darkened the bottom a lot, which kind of helps our viewer's eye to stay in here, to kind of look at the brighter spots in the image up here in the trees. So that's the reason why I love using this vignette. And that's a before, and this is after. So it's looking really good. Now, I'm pretty happy with how this whole thing looks. If I wanted to, I might go in and do a little local adjustment. I want to show you guys how to do one simple local adjustment here. And what I want to do is to brighten this water right here. I kind of want this water, the brightness, to match this water over here so that it all appears like the water is the same luminance value. So what I'm going to do is drag up on the highlights, and I'm just going to use a brush here. You can see I've got a size 16 brush with 100 on the feather and the flow. You can use a bigger or smaller brush. And I'm just going to paint this over right here. And you can see now that that hasn't done a lot because it's only affecting the highlights, and it's not really finding the water as very strong highlights. So what we can actually do is increase the exposure slightly. And I want to increase the saturation just to match up with what's over here. So that's looking good to me. And now the one thing that you want to do here is to affect just the water, because we don't want to affect things that are around. So we can actually use a range mask down here. So go down here to range mask, select luminance, because we want to select a mask based on the luminance. And then I can just use this eyedropper tool and sample a color such as this one right here. And that is going to make it so that we are just affecting the water now. The mask, and I'll show you the luminance mask here. So anything that's kind of pinkish right here is being affected in my image, which is exactly what I want. It's a little bit hard to see here, but just trust me here, and that this luminance mask is really helpful in just selecting the water. So if you are going to use Lightroom frequently, you got to learn how to use luminance masks. And I've got another video showing you how to do that, which I will link right here for you if you want to learn more about luminance and range masks in Lightroom. But back to this image, I want to drop the exposure a little bit now that we've refined our selection, just to kind of make it feel like it matches the rest of the image a little bit better. And that feels pretty good to me. So I'm going to leave that as is. I can click that to close this up. And now you can see the image here. So I'm going to show you guys before. This was the unedited image, and this is after. This is with our edit, and I'm just hitting the button below the delete key. I believe that is the / before and after, and this is looking really nice. So I'm really happy with how this turned out. So that wraps up exactly how I go about editing waterfall images in Lightroom. I want to thank you guys so much for checking out this week's video. I really hope that it's helpful for you to edit your waterfall images. Go ahead and pull this up alongside an image of your own and edit alongside me, so you can do the same things to your images and kind of do exactly the workflow that I do. I really think that this is the way to go if you're going to edit your images in Lightroom. So let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments. As always, I love to see your guys' images. If you are taking and editing any using this video, leave them down below. Thank you guys so much. Be sure to subscribe, and we will see you guys next week. Have a good one. Bye-bye.